Earlier today, I saw a post on Instagram, and the post didn't really have anything to do with grief, but it really got me thinking. It was a post from this young girl who posted that she felt like men today were struggling with not being needed and instead being wanted. And I was really kind of intrigued by that. And I drove all the way home from the salon thinking about it. And I want to talk to you about it because I do feel like that particular topic that she's discussing, I don't know that I fully agree with her, but I think it definitely does impact my grief. So let's talk about it. My name is Maria Juarez, and you're listening to In This Casa. Bienvenidos. So, in the post, she says that women don't need men anymore like they used to. Women used to need men to basically provide money, right? Women couldn't navigate the world without a man, right? We weren't allowed to vote. We weren't allowed to get credit cards. We weren't allowed to be in public alone. There's just all these things that women were not allowed to do. They couldn't own land, things like that. So there were a lot of things that women couldn't do. And so women needed a man. And so one of the points in one of the slides of her post was that women were less picky about men, I guess. I don't think she said that, but it was kind of implied, because what they were doing was evaluating a partner for what they could provide, right? Because they needed to be able to provide shelter, housing, food, whatnot. And so that is why women used to need men. Women needed men to navigate the world and to provide for them because women weren't allowed to do those things. And her post was saying that nowadays we live in a time where lots of women are independent. And so she was not arguing, but she was just saying that women don't need men anymore, that they want them. And that men are having a hard time with a woman who's independent, who works, provides her own place to live, her own food, her own shopping money, all those things. And so she just gets to decide when she's dating a man if she wants him by his own characteristics. She gets to look in regards to his personality and his character and make those decisions about whether or not she wants him. And I was thinking about this because I can totally relate to the idea that a woman, especially a young woman who is independent and providing for herself and single, would have that sentiment, right? Or that theory or that ideal that, like, I don't need a man, I want a man. But in this current society where there's a lot of conversation about male loneliness and there's a lot of conversation about women man haters, I don't know. I think we're for sure failing to communicate well. Men and women, that is. I think that's part of the problem we're having is, I could be wrong, but I think that part of it is communication, or maybe a lot of it is communication, and a lot of it has to do with vulnerability as well too. Because I was definitely a young woman who felt that way, felt like I don't need a man, I just want one. And when I met David, I totally felt that way. I felt like I don't need him. I don't need him to pay my bills. I don't need him to provide me a place to live. I don't need him to feed me. I don't need him to do anything. I can decide if I want this man. But I think that idea of just being able to choose a man that you want is a little misguided. And I was definitely misguided when I first started dating David to think that myself. Because I think once you're in a relationship, want and need are a little bit interchangeable. And I think it's just subjective. I think that when you think of like an antiquated way of the way a woman needs a man in regards to literally provide food, shelter, then yes, that is a need. But women also want food and shelter. So, but that's not even my point. My point is that On the flip side of that, when a woman thinks that she gets to just want a man and evaluate him for whether or not she wants him, I think that evaluation is based on needs, right? Because yeah, you want someone who's funny, but maybe it's because like me, you're a very serious person and you need somebody who's going to lighten up your life and make you laugh. You want a companion, but maybe what you need is a best friend who's going to, want to spend time with you and do the most mundane things with you. Maybe you want somebody who is very masculine and protective oriented, or even not. Maybe you want somebody who's sensitive. But I still think that's based on your need. I think, like, is it because you need somebody who is filling a void that you had when you were young that wasn't able to protect you, and you need to feel safety? And you cannot provide that feeling of safety for yourself. Yes, you don't need money provided for you, but you need the safety provided. Or maybe for the man who's sensitive, maybe you don't feel like you were given enough attention or hugged enough or cared for enough as a young person. And so what you need is now a man who's going to adore you and hug you and touch your hair and take care of you when you're sick. Maybe you're looking for all those things. And yeah, you want them, but emotionally, you also need that. And I wanted to talk about it today because I have definitely had a lot of grief over this concept since I've lost David. And I had it right away. Like I said, when I was young, I for sure felt like I'm independent. I don't need a man. I don't need David. I want him. And I for sure verbalized that to him. I know for a fact that I literally said those words to my husband before he was my husband, that I didn't need him, that I wanted him. And okay, yeah, whatever. I thought it was badass or empowering or what. I don't know. But the truth is, if I look back on our relationship, the whole time from that perspective, I didn't really need him, right? I would have always just wanted him. If that was the case, if it was just need versus want. But I don't think that's true. I think that after I lost him and I look back on it, I'm very aware of how much I needed my husband. And no, I didn't need him to provide me money, but I did need him to hug me. I did need him to want to drive around and just listen to music and talk and chit chat with me. I needed him to be my support system. I needed him to be my partner in life. Yes, I wanted that, but I needed a partner. I needed a support system. I needed somebody who was my rock, that I wasn't just their rock, they were my rock too. And we made decisions together and we supported one another and leaned on each other and fought through all the stresses of life together. I needed that. And after he passed, obviously I wanted my husband back. Obviously I wanted him. But more importantly, I needed him. And again, I didn't need him to be here just to provide me food and shelter. I needed my companion. I needed my partner, my best friend, my lover. I needed David. I needed him. And the reason I felt guilty was because after I lost him, even though I'm very expressive on my podcast, and I have a lot of words, I struggle with things like toasts. I struggle with articulating myself when there is any sort of like sentimentality involved in what I'm being asked to say. Whether that's a toast, whether it's on the spot, like, if I get asked. Actually, yesterday I was getting my hair done and my stylist Meredith asked my sister what her favorite thing about me was. and what my favorite thing about her was. And my sister joked about something, and then she asked me, and those moments, obviously I love my sister and there's lots of things I love about her. But in a moment like that, I cannot verbalize it. I just struggle to actually put the words together. And I don't know if it's something about not being able to be that vulnerable. Like maybe that feels a little too vulnerable for me, and I just can't verbalize it. She even asked me, well, what's your favorite thing about yourself? And I still could not form a solidified answer for her. There could be a couple things at play with that. One, I have a hard time picking favorites. I don't do well with favorites. I don't have like a favorite color. I wear a lot of black, but I don't have a favorite color. I have a couple of favorite bands, but like I love a ton of music. I don't have a favorite food for sure. Like I know I've had to before pick a favorite food, and I pick snacks, appetizers. Like my favorite food is appetizers, but not like Mexican food, Chinese food, Italian food. So part of it that could be at play is that one, I have a hard time selecting a favorite. But two, it might just be that I really struggle to have that vulnerability to like have the conversation with somebody and just be so open and vulnerable to say extremely nice things about somebody that makes me vulnerable. And vulnerable to, I don't know, like if I say too much, now you have information that you can utilize against me, and maybe I'm just untrusting. Surely it's something from my childhood that's traumatic, and I probably need to work through this. But the thing is I struggled with that with David too. And he would ask me all the time, just in random small moments we would have together, just the two of us. He would ask me, baby, why do you love me? And obviously I love David with all of my being and all of my soul. But I could never articulate it. I could never say, I love you because you provide me security. I love you because you make me feel loved. I love you because you make me feel taken care of. I love you because you make me feel wanted. I, I couldn't say it to him. So I would tell him, because you're my little baby. That's why I love you. But my husband, his love language was well, I don't know. Everybody has multiple love languages, I think. But anyway, David needed reassurance, verbal reassurance about things. And I was so good about verbally reassuring him in all other aspects in our life, about his work, about how he was as a father, about his physicality, about how, his intelligence, just everything. I could totally reassure him about everything. But I think that, looking back, or at least after he passed, I looked back on the fact that he would ask me that question as he needed reassurance for whatever reason. I don't think he questioned my love. I think he just wanted to hear it. He just needed reassurance about himself. He needed, sometimes we just need to hear good things about ourselves. And I couldn't articulate it. So my grief after I lost him was that I was devastated to think that my husband left this world knowing for sure that I wanted him, but not necessarily knowing that I needed him. And I truly did need him. I truly did. I need him now. So I felt really guilty about him not knowing that, because I know that I never, maybe I don't know, I feel like I never was able to articulate to him that I needed him. Maybe not in a physical house money way, but in an emotional way, I needed my husband all across the board, in all ways. I needed him. So anyway, I wish I would have saved that Instagram post, but quite honestly, I was driving when I saw it, and I shouldn't have been looking at my phone while I was driving, and I didn't bookmark it, and I set my phone down, and then when I picked it up, Instagram had already refreshed. I really wish I had bookmarked it because I would really like to reference it back and even tell you what it was that I was looking at that really kind of sent me down this whole thought process of whether or not I believe that women just don't need men anymore. They just want them. I don't think it's that simple. I do think that men want to be needed. I think women want to be wanted, and men need to be needed. And not needed like pay the bills and make sure there's a roof over our heads and there's food in the kitchen or money for food in the kitchen. But I think needed like, I don't know, not to do, I don't know how to explain it, not to do tasks, right? Not like chores, not like I need you to go outside and I need you to winterize the house. I need you to go outside. I need you to fix the sprinklers. I need you to kill the bug that's in the other room. I need you to take out the trash. I mean, obviously you want those things too, right? If that person is your partner. So again, need and want is kind of the same thing, right? I want you to go winterize the house. Well, it needs to be winterized, but I also want you to do it. So those things are kind of the same, but I think that men are looking for being emotionally needed, but they don't know how to communicate it the way that I'm communicating it right now or articulating it right now. Because I think that would be too vulnerable for them to just say, like, I need you to let me know that I am needed. So I think that men, like, okay, like, let's say if it's task oriented. If it's task oriented, let's say that I know. The post, she gave an example of being at the gym. She thought about this whole thing apparently because she was at the gym and she wanted to work out on this one machine and somebody had left 100-pound weights on it and she couldn't move them. So she went to a guy that was close by and she went to go ask him if he would help. And she said she wasn't even done finishing asking him and he had jumped up already because he was eager to help. And so her conversation in the post was kind of about like, does that mean men just need a task to be done? And my answer to that is no, it's not about the task. It's about the fact that like, it's the damsel in distress idea, right? She could not have done that without him. She tried to figure it out. She tried to do it. She wanted to do it, but she needed him to do it with her. I think it's that kind of need that men are needing from women. Not, I need you to go to work and pay the bills. Because those are things you can both do. Not, I need you to take out the trash. Because those are things that you can both do. I think it's those things that a woman truly cannot get done and wants to get done or wants to do without a man, but she can't. She needs him to do it. I think that's what men really need, or what women really need, but we're not recognizing it. And so we think we don't need men. But yeah, I go back to, I think that women want to be wanted and men need to be needed. And as a reminder, just in case you're new here, I'm not a doctor or a mental health professional or anything like that. So this is just my own thoughts based on my experiences. It's my perspective based on reflecting on my life. So if it's not relatable to you, I totally understand. Maybe what I'm saying makes absolutely no sense to you. It's possible. And anyway, my whole thought process about this could be completely wrong. Or maybe it's, like, hey, Maria, this is one-sided. Like, you're not even considering these other situations. And I don't know, that's just semantics. We could go back and forth about something like that. But you don't have to agree with me. I'm just saying that I, for sure, felt guilty having been young and having that thought process that I just wanted my husband and didn't need him. And after he died, I could not forgive myself for not being able to tell him how I needed him. It was something I truly, truly had to remind myself that my husband knew. And if he did, if I truly want to believe that he didn't know that I needed him, which he did, even though I didn't say it, I know he did. But if I truly want to believe that he didn't know it, I also believe that he knows how I feel and what I'm thinking about him right now. Like, I believe when I talk to him right now, he hears me. I believe I can still communicate and connect with him, even if I can't hear a connection back. And I feel like me letting him know now that he can still receive that from me. Anyway, I think that to sum up this episode, my point is, in my humble opinion, if you don't, for women at least, don't think that you don't need a man, you just want him. Because you do need your partner. And I think men don't be intimidated or don't feel reduced by feeling like a woman may not need you, because women value being wanted. You know, she wants you to want her. I think women want, and men need. And I think if we can communicate that to each other as we're trying to figure out if we're going to join in a relationship or partnership, then that would make it, I don't know what it would make it, but I know that, like, I think it would make it easier. First of all, to not feel inadequate from either side, from either perspective. But also, I think that it would, if you were in a situation like mine, it would keep you from feeling the guilt that I felt at the end of the day. And I think that there's a lot of things that we take for granted and we don't realize that we can change in the middle of, like, everyday life, mundane everyday life, where we just think there's going to be tomorrow, and tomorrow I still have more errands to run and more work to do and blah, blah, blah. And we just kind of take all these things for granted. We take being able to tell our loved ones that we love them. We take for granted being able to tell our partner that we need them. We take for granted being able to hold hands when you get off the car, or sit and have dinner together, or, you know, whatever it is, we take that for granted. So I think my point is just, you know, don't take it for granted. Anyway, thank you for joining me today. And I hope you come back next Saturday and we can continue to talk about what it's like in my casa. I'll talk to you soon.